Okay, good day, grade 8s. I hope you're well and I hope you had a good Easter. Okay, so this video is just going to go through what we needed to do this week. But before we do that, just going to go over some of the answers. So you had this was a little tricky activity we did, and you had to look at temperate desert vegetation and tropical vegetation. Now we're going to go into more detail about that today, but this is a little bit of an introduction. In the temperate climate, because you have those winters and the summers, so in the winter, all the flowers, they will die in the winter, and so as it says on this sheet here, and then the trees will lose their leaves in the winter, and then in spring they come back, okay? While in the desert vegetation, as we'll look at this for the work today, they are so well designed. And remember we did about camels, but these are the plants that are so well designed to survive in such little water. So thick stems to store the water in dry weather, and these kind of spiky leaves which don't lose the water, so there's no transpiration, okay? While in tropical vegetation, because the weather is hot, wet and sunny really all year round, trees, they can have leaves all year round, and they grow really tall because there's so many other plants and biodiversity there that you have to go high in the air to be able to get access to the sun, okay? And you did really well last lesson by answering the questions about tropical vegetation and then making those changes to the first week's tasks there, okay? So let's go back to what we're going to do today. Now, we're just going to first focus on Bahamian vegetation, okay? So you can make that title, you can put the objective down, and you need your SS Book 2, okay? And then you go to page 143. And on page 143, there is this glossary, okay? And just make a note of the key words, such as coppice, go from there, coppice, exotic, invasive, etc. They're just the words that are taken from here, okay? Then you're going to go to page 131, okay? Just as I turn over the page here. Go to page 131, and it goes through the different types, okay, in the four main types of vegetation in the Bahamas, okay? So it starts off with the pine forest. Now my guide here goes through everything that I would like you to highlight, okay? Just so you've got those notes there, okay? Now, if you are the sort of person who prefers writing out those notes, you can do that, okay? But I'm telling you here, highlighting all the important parts as we go through each page bit by bit, okay? Now, I'm not going to go through that because it's quite step by step here. Then it talks about broadleaf coppice, which is the next one on page 133, okay? And goes through, okay? So you've done the pine forest, broadleaf coppice. Over here, you go to the mangroves, complete that, and do all that highlighting, okay? And that will be the end of lesson 1. Now, for lesson 2 of 2, even though that says 1 of 2, there's lesson 2 of 2. You can again highlight, a header, title, new page, vegetation in hot and cold deserts, okay? So we're going to describe how vegetation is in extreme climates. Now, I'm sure if I asked you what the definition of a desert is, you'd be able to tell me because you did all those great guides, you looked at animal adaptation. And yes, so it is that fact of such low rainfall, below 250 millimeters per year or less. So the plants have to survive. And there's 2 types of deserts. We have hot and cold deserts, okay? Now, in your SS book, you have here, it talks about in the cold deserts, okay? And another name for that is the tundra, okay? And the word actually comes from Finland, and there's this picture that shows, and as you can see, there's not a great deal of vegetation that's able to survive from this. And so it's quite barren in vegetation, as the word puts there, okay? And again, it goes through here what you need to highlight, and, okay, and then putting on the and then putting in the headers and highlighting from there. Then putting on, for your assignment, okay, title, how do plants and wildlife survive in a tropical desert, okay? So now this is going to be in a hot desert. And you've got 2 PDFs, one called Desert Veg and the other one, Desert Veg 2, okay? And Desert Veg 2 is actually the first one, and it talks about the problems here. So it's got to adapt to drought, okay? And they're a long way from neighboring plants, and the plant can be dormant for long periods of time, so almost like resting. There's a picture that I'll forward on where you can actually, a hot desert can look really green and lush because it's just rained and everything kind of blooms within those few hours, and then it goes back into a dormant state and looking more like what you would expect a desert to look like, okay? And we've got these two types here. What you need to do is just read through that, okay? And this one goes on to some of the animals. Now, we've done about animal adaptations already. You did that great work about where you designed your own animal. Here, you need to draw a large diagram of either a pear cactus or a saguaro cactus, okay? And add these labels, okay? Now, for the types of cactus, they are here, okay? Prickly pear and saguaro cactus. You choose which one you prefer and just make some notes on that. And then explain. So this is where we're getting those extra marks in the exams because we miss out the explain. So link how these 4 labels helps the cactus plant to search for and store water. Use the notes in there, and also use your mind, okay, just to think about how and make that link, okay. And then last one is just making a simple drawing of a camel. So you can do that to complete that about the camel, and you can use, that's kind of a bit of a revision for you there, okay? So that's the tasks, the 2 tasks. That will be the assignment, and that'll be what you load up. So you need to do those notes and then upload that, okay? Now, the due date, okay? The due date for this is for the 27th, so that's a week today, okay? If you have any questions, just send me a message. So email me and I'll be able to get back to you. Again, guys, I hope you're well.